Hey everybody, happy Friday. I'm Dr. Candace, your board certified pediatrician and kid health expert. I know it's been a minute. We've been having some very busy Fridays and I was out of town one week. So I'm back with your word in the clinic, and today's word in the clinic is sleep. And so I'm always talking to parents about sleep, how important it is for their kids to get enough of it, and also giving them tips on how to get their kids to sleep, all the way from young babies to our older kids. It can be challenging all along the way, even in adults, of course, because sleep is very important, but people struggle with it, especially with their kids. And so I'm always giving tips on that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So my first tip is, and I would say that I even struggle with it as a pediatrician, because those little human beings have minds of their own. And unfortunately, some things I say with sleep and with eating, it's only so much you can do, but just try to do what you can do and do the best you can. All right. Because I have a 2-year-old at home right now, and it has been a challenge with getting her to sleep. Whereas with my son, it wasn't so much of a problem. So anyway, I'll share with you my tips, and they do work. But I think the biggest issue is being consistent. And so sometimes even me, I'm tired and I give in. And that happens sometimes. So first tip is expectations, understanding development. So I have parents sometimes with infants who are complaining that the child's not sleeping through the night. And I have to educate them and tell them, hey, this baby is probably not going to sleep through the night right now, even though you want it so bad. Is not developmentally possible. So you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure, basically, because this child is just too young to be sleeping all night. So typically not until around 6 months do babies sleep all through the night. I've heard of some that do it before that, but that's the exception. So don't expect it too soon. Don't push it too soon. Hey, Africa. Otherwise, it's just causing yourself undue stress. And especially those kids under 2 months, around 2 to 4 months, those babies have to be fed every 3 to 4 hours. And so they're not going to sleep through the night. You need to be, even if they want to sleep past 4 hours or so, we recommend you wake them up and feed them, if they're under 2 months especially. So don't try to make it happen too soon, okay? Being structured and having a routine is fine, but expecting them to sleep through the night before 6 months is unusual, and you just really shouldn't expect that, all right? My second tip is, no matter what you do, sleep safe. Have them to sleep safely. And we've talked about that before, and I've had talks about that. The ABCs of sleep: alone on their back in the crib, no friends, bears, don't sleep next to you. We don't recommend co-sleeping. We do recommend that the baby sleeps in the room with you in their own crib. A lot of times parents think the baby is uncomfortable. That's why they're not sleeping through the night. And so they do a whole lot of things to get them to sleep. Pillows, wedging them on their side, all these contraptions that are for sale over in the stores. And a lot of that stuff is not safe. Just because it's on the shelves does not mean it's safe. We talked about that sleeper rocker before, and how we've seen infant deaths with that. That's not recommended, okay? So sleep safe. The baby will get used to it. Hang in there, be consistent, and they will get it, okay? But just make sure safety is more important than comfort, okay? The baby will get there eventually. So sleeping safe is important. My third tip is sleep hygiene, and this is probably the most important tip. Sleep hygiene is basically a fancy word for establishing a sleep routine. When we establish a routine or certain habits, it trains us or the baby the body to expect it and just do it naturally around that same time every day. So if you have a structured environment, a routine set up in your home around bedtime, eventually that baby is going to naturally just get sleepy around that time and go down, okay? So set up that time. When they're younger, that may be a little earlier, around 6:30, 7:30. As they get older, you may move it back some, but have a consistent bedtime. And about an hour before that, you want to start to get the house quiet. You want to start saying night night sleepy time, start talking about sleepy time, maybe read a book. Everybody should be quiet. The TV shouldn't be blasting. Everybody's starting to settle down. Maybe you take them into their room away from others, distractions. Give them a bath, give them a nice rub down with lotion, put them in their pajamas. You're talking sweet. You may be singing lullabies or playing soft, soothing lullabies. You can use a noise machine like ocean sounds or water sounds. That really helps my daughter sleep. She even goes in her room now for bedtime and turns it on herself. She likes it. It helps her sleep. And then they're in their room, and you just put them in the bed, and you can sit next to them and continue that phase. For us, it's almost like an hour process. I wish it was shorter. And then they eventually fall off to sleep. It may not happen the first time, second time, third time, but eventually over a period of time, that routine will get them ready for sleep, and they will do it naturally. Now, my fourth point, sometimes you get off track. So when we travel, all of that gets upset, right? Your times are later, you can't be consistent. They have to sleep in the bed with you because there may be one bed in the hotel. They don't have their own bed. And so once your child, is older and gets in the bed with you, they don't want to go back when you get home. So, and even when you transition your baby from their cribs to a toddler bed, that disrupts it as well. So those changes can get you off track, can feel like starting over, but just start back over, be consistent, establish that routine, that sleep hygiene again, and in a matter of a week or so, you'll get them back on track. I've gone through all of these phases with my toddler. But just be consistent, and that's on us as parents, okay? We can't force them, but if we do this sleep hygiene routine consistently, it will train them, all right? So my last tip is, I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. So the main thing is, hey Zil, the main thing is that sleep is so important. There's so many benefits of sleep. And I have a lot of kids as they get older, especially teenagers, where their parents have no idea how much sleep they're getting. They don't even know when they go down. And so the child may seem to be very tired and fatigued. They may not want to get up in the morning. They may be falling asleep at school, and it's just because they're not getting enough sleep. So literally, kids need more sleep than we think they need, even all the way from babies needing up to 14 hours of sleep, and infants sleeping all the time, pretty much just waking up to feed. And as kids get older, and school-age kids, they still need like 10 to 12 hours of sleep. So if they're getting up at 6 in the morning, you're talking about a kid getting in the bed around 8 o'clock to get enough sleep at night. And so make sure you are supervising that your child has a good bedtime routine, that they're getting to sleep, they're not watching TV or on their phones or their tablets or video games, that they're actually sleeping. Check in, because sleep is important for their health, for their mental health. It is powerful to fight against obesity. It is powerful for learning and behavior. So if children have any of the problems in those areas, just getting a good night's sleep can help to make that problem go away. So just know that sleep is very important, and follow these tips that I gave you today for any age of a child. Being consistent and having a good sleep routine is important, and having the proper expectations of when your baby can sleep through the night, and make sure you're sleeping them safely. Safe is more important than comfort, okay? So thank you guys for listening. Sorry I was away for a couple of weeks. We'll try to pick it back up and be consistent. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Also, this morning we just filmed a news story with WFTV Channel 9 that will air today at 4:30 about school stress. So if you're in the Florida area, please watch that. It was a great story with me and one of my patients. So